Shields up, Ironbreakers. We're kind of here coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Unreal 5 engine tech demo that was running on a PlayStation 5 dev kit, and this particular video was published yesterday, but yesterday I was live streaming Monster Hunter, so I never got around to watching it and making a video about it. So today I figured I'd check it out, see what all the fuss is about, and give you guys my take in regards to that particular video. So first and foremost, I'm going to be putting some of the footage that they put in that video. Now, I don't think that this is an actual game. I think it's supposed to just be a tech demo, but they could just be using a game that's maybe in development or something. But I haven't really checked out too much into that. The whole purpose of this video was to basically showcase the power of the new Unreal Engine, and obviously also to showcase the power of the next generation consoles. Not exactly sure why they picked PlayStation over Xbox Series X, if there's some kind of deals going on in the back, or if they work closely with PlayStation to achieve, that level of performance with their engine, or what the deal was. But the fact is, in this particular case, this demo was on a PlayStation 5 dev kit, or at least that's what they're saying, and we're just gonna have to take them at their word. Now, I'll tell you what, when I initially watched the demo, I was very much impressed because, those visuals look friggin' mind-blowing, and they kept telling you about the amount of triangles that's on this picture. You guys have no idea. If you could just imagine the millions and billions of triangles we got in here, and I was like, that's great, dude. It looks mind-blowing, like it really does. The little pebbles coming down when they showed little pebbles, the lighting system on it, everything looked friggin' amazing. One of the really impressive moments is when the woman starts flying and stuff. She falls down, then she flies through the scenery, and you can see everything just loading in super fast, kind of like the video that they made for for Wired, I think, a while back, where they showed Spider-Man going through the town super fast. Kind of reminded me of that, because it also showcases the technology of the SSDs in the consoles and all that. And I'm not saying SSD, this revolutionary technology. Of course not. PCs have had that for ages, But it does look really good how fast that stuff can run and how fast it can load in assets with the level of detail that it does. And according to some of the talks, I didn't pay... I'll be honest, I don't pay too much attention to all the technical stuff, and I'll tell you guys why in a minute. But according to some of the stuff that people were talking about, you're not going to have to rely on the whole LOD technology anymore, which is kind of like something that they used to do, where let's say you had an object, and let's say your character could be at 3 different distances from that object. Let's say close, a little bit far, and really, really far away. And that object would have 3 different textures. This is a simplification, so that when you're really far away, it has a texture that doesn't have that much detail, but you're far away, so it doesn't matter. Then when you're a little bit closer, it has another texture that's got a little bit more detail, but you're still far away, so it doesn't have mega detail. And then when you're super close, it would have the final texture, which would be super detailed, and it would look real good, and all of that jazz. That's how they used to do things in the old days. Supposedly, if I understood everything correctly, with the technology that Unreal Engine 5 provides, you ain't got to do that anymore. Everything just gets automatically updated as your character gets closer, and the engine does all that work for you, which I am led to understand that basically that would make development a lot easier. A lot of the features that are in the video are intended to make development easier, as well as to allow greater level of detail. Now, this is kind of a bit of a two-sided sword, in my opinion, because on the one hand, anything that makes games easier to develop for developers, in my head, it's a good thing. Because it makes it easier to develop. Maybe they'll be able to, pour more time into creating content, as opposed to spending a bunch of time trying to figure out the technicalities of the engines and the technical aspects and optimization and all that stuff. If the engine is doing more of that in the background, that's great for game development. That's good, and it's going to be a real positive boon to the industry. But on the other hand, I do have to say that it does make me a little bit fearful that some developers are going to look at this level of detail and be like, oh, dude, we can just look at how cool we can make our game look, dude. We can make these graphics be friggin' mind-blowing. We can melt people's minds with these visuals and look at these animations and all of that. Look at how good this thing looks. And that's all fine and well. Like I said, the demo looks impressive. I loved the way that everything looked in that demo. I'm super excited for the possibilities that thing does when it comes to, like, you know, really pushing the boundaries of visuals and all of that stuff. I think it was really good. But I'm concerned that developers are going to focus more on the visual side of video games and less on the actual gameplay side of video games. I hope that's not the case because, you know, they're just developing tools. I'm not saying that this is a problem with Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine is doing exactly what an engine should do, which is to basically provide developers with the tools to make their games look at the best they possibly can, and the contextual animation stuff. If they're, if they're providing some kind of animation tools to people, that's going to make them easier to animate the models of characters and all that jazz. That's all great. The more shortcuts you can provide developers with, and the more optimization hoops the less optimization hoops they have to jump through, that's all fantastic for game development. But again, I just hope that developers look at this and then they take a long, hard look at their budget and see how much they want to focus on the actual gameplay of their games and how much they want to focus on the visual side of their games. Because I don't think that every other studio is going to be able to just like produce a game that looks like that demo. Because that demo looked hella good. It had like movie grade assets and all of these amazing things and all of that detail and the textures and the rocks and how you could actually see the individual rocks and stuff and all of that. Because at the end of the day, imagine you were playing that specific game in that demo. Do you really care about the detail on the rocks? Are you gonna like crouch down, zoom in on the rocks and be like, man, these rocks look amazing? Or is that just something that you're gonna spend like, I don't know, maybe the first 10 to 30 minutes of you playing the game, you're like, man, this game is beautiful. But you know, the rest of it is gonna be carried by the gameplay itself. And even if the game doesn't look amazing, if the gameplay is amazing, it'll still be fine. So again, my big concern is that developers are going to want to focus too much on visuals and not enough on gameplay. Do keep in mind, and I hope I hope that people agree with me on this, which is you really want to focus in on what matters in a video game, right? Now, the other thing was that I saw an article on this website called Tweaktown, which said that Nick Warden, who is one of the bigwigs in charge of this Unreal Engine 5 business, he said that that particular demo was running at 1440p, 30 FPS. Now, that is another thing that kind of concerns me a little bit because, okay, so you want to have the option to make something really visually outstanding and amazing and all of that jazz, right? But I would also like them to work something into the engine that would make it easy for someone to just go, oh yeah, but I want this to run at 60 instead. Like, get rid of some of that detail. I want this at 60 instead. Like, I don't know how many of you guys checked out some of the games that have those options, for instance, but one of the games that does that really well, in my opinion, is Neo, which it did so in the first Neo, and it did the same thing in Neo 2, where basically you go to the options and you get to choose, hey, do you want the game to look real good? You want to play this thing on 4K? You want this thing to just like really prioritize resolution and all that? We got you. And you just pop it in there. Boom, and you get your 30 FPS or your variable FPS with, you know, more visual effects, and you just get a richer visual experience. But at the same time, if you're someone like me that, sure, visuals are great and all, but what I really care about is this game running, you know, super fast so that I can get a good frame rate and I can really just dedicate myself to learning the combat properly and just getting my twitch reflexes on point and, you know, just really honing in on the combat. So you just like, you toggle that on and boom, the game just runs at 60 solid, boom, no problems, no ifs, no ands, no buts. Now, sure, it suffers from a visual standpoint because it doesn't look as good, but at the end of the day, like I said, I personally am someone who cares more about the gameplay and animations. Animations is also a big deal for me. Animations, in fact, more so than visuals, which is why I also like the fact that they, you know, put some emphasis on how they're doing animation stuff in that particular demo. So it's like, that's something that I would like to see being referenced in all these conversations. Like, oh yeah, the engine can push 60 FPS. Because at the end of the day, you know, 1440p, for starters, 1440p 30 FPS seems a little bit on the low side. for the next generation consoles that were supposed to be like, oh no man, next generation is going to be 4K, 60, bada beam, bada boom, all of that. Maybe that's only going to be achievable by first-party studios on both ends. So, you know, Microsoft's going to have their dudes, like maybe their Halo will run at 4K 60, or maybe it won't. We don't know. Sony's going to have their dudes, and maybe Ghost of Tsushima, whatever, once it comes out on PS5, runs 4K 60. We don't know yet. We don't know if those consoles are going to be able to even do 4K 60. I mean, they were even saying a while back, Sony at least said, PS5 might even be able to go up to 8K. And I'm like, dude, 8K? Who the hell owns an 8K TV, dude? Who's this millionaire that owns a goddamn 8K TV that's sitting in his house playing video games? Like, you know, that probably, I would say that about, I don't know, 80% of you know, your traditional gamer community, your traditional gamer, 80% of them probably don't even own a 4K TV. They're probably still on 1080p. So like all of this push for, we need more and bigger pixels, like no, you need to push for frame rate. You need to push the frame rate. We want it faster. That's what we really want. We want it faster. We just want the games to run faster. So that there's no, you know, there's no point where we're like, oh man, this game's friggin' dropping frames and it's looking lame and it's got variable frame rate. Like that's what we really want to see. Now we'll see how Unreal 5 Engine's gonna stack up once the consoles come out and we can see some of the first party titles. But we already know that our good old buddy like Assassin's Creed Valhalla from Ubisoft, you know, Ubisoft, who basically very rarely care to optimize their games properly, that's gonna be running at 30 FPS. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like that's already two things that we're talking about next gen, and we're already like cutting the frame rate by half. That's what really concerns me. Like, dude, just push the frame rate. Like, sure, give us the option for the people that really want to see the big textures and all of that jazz and just want that 4K or that 8K or whatever. Give them those options, but please, for the love of God, focus the better part of your efforts on frame rate. That's what's really important. Like, that's what we should be talking about. We should be talking more about frame rate and less about resolution. Or am I the only one who thinks like this? Like, I'm legitimately curious. Like, let me know in the comment section down below if you think differently. If you look at this and you're like, nah, dude, I want more resolution. I want more pixels. Screw frame rate. I don't care about it. And at the end of the day, there's some people out there saying, oh yeah, that demo shows the PlayStation 5 is going to be better than PCs. And it's like, dude, you just need to understand something. Like, look, and I'm saying this as someone who mostly plays on consoles, okay? I mostly play on consoles. And it's like, look, PC is always going to have better frame rates and better resolution because the only limit to how good your PC can be is your wallet. That's the only limit. So it's like, if you're someone with infinite wallet, like if your wallet doesn't run out of money, your PC is always going to be better than a console. Like PlayStation 5 comes out, someone stacks down 10K on a brand new computer, bam! Probably even a lot less. I'm just saying, like, if it has to be 10K, just like slap 10K on that piecer, boom, done. It's gonna roast any console, dude, because that's just the way these things are designed. It's like, I don't think you're ever gonna get to a point anymore. Like, I think that when the PS3 came out, it kind of was very impressive. But then again, at the time, I didn't have a very good computer. But I remember looking at PS3 games and I was like, wow, that thing looks amazing. But like PS4, it was just not the case. I had a beefy rig at the time PS4 came out, so I was like, yeah, it looks good. I like it. I still play most of my stuff on PS4 and Switch and whatnot because at heart, I just like it more. I like the convenience factor. I like a bunch of other stuff. Call me a console pleb. I don't give a damn. I really just don't care about those labels. But the thing is, you play where you want. That doesn't matter. What matters to me is that I think that at the end of the day, we need to come to a consensus and see if these companies understand that what we want is frame rate. Like, we get it. You want to show us pretty pictures and you want to show big beefy resolution and all that jazz, and you want to push the hardware. What we want the stuff that's showing up on screen to be faster. Okay? Most people have TVs that can support up to 60 FPS. So like, just give us that. Okay, there's not enough people with 4K TVs out in the world. At least I don't think so. There's not enough people with 4K TVs out in the world that justify all of this focus on textures, rendering, mega textures, cinematic film assets. Again, it's impressive, and I'm happy they're doing that. But I would have liked to seen at least a portion of that presentation being dedicated to like, let us show you guys what tools we got for dealing with frame rate. You know, for providing, like, if you want a really fast-paced action game, here's what you can do in our engine to provide the gamers with frame rate. Again, I'm just curious if I'm the only one who thinks like that. Just let me know, because at the end of the day, here's the thing. They're showcasing all of this stuff, and it looks impressive, and I'm super happy about it. Again, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm bummed out. It's just I'm looking at it from the things that I would like to see, and the things I think people would like to see. But just think about it like this, right? They're showing us all of this technology and all of this stuff that they're working on. And in the meanwhile, I'm sitting over here playing Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, which is a game that's visually, it's not the best looking game in the world. It's not the most optimized game in the world. It's running with not great visuals and 30 FPS. But goddamn if the gameplay doesn't keep me coming back, you know? And that's the way that I look at things. To me, it's always more about gameplay, and I care more about animations because animations kind of deliver a sense of impact, and that is very important to have like a visual feedback of what you are doing in a game. So to me, it's more about the gameplay and the animations, not necessarily the visuals. Even a 2D game, if it's properly animated, can sometimes just destroy 3D games through the power of the animations alone and through having better gameplay. So just developers, keep that in mind, keep your budgets in mind, and decide accordingly, like how much do you want to dedicate to visuals and how much do you want to dedicate to stuff that actually matters more to the core gaming audience. And again, I want to know in the comment section if you guys disagree with that. Just let me know. Hit the dislike button if you don't agree with my opinion. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. If you usually enjoy my content, subscribe, bell notification icon, all of that usual stuff. As per usual, stay strong, stay healthy, stay indoors if you can. If you go outside, wear masks, gloves, all that jazz. We're still not over the hump, so stay safe, all of that. And yeah, may your shields never break.